Neither party considered Mr. Tracy to be a joint author of the code on NoPixel. I don't play NoPixel, but hey, you can make out what it work. What you want? A joint work is work prepared by 2 or more authors with the intention their contributions be merged into a separate or independent parts of a unitary whole. That's debatable. You know, they
already have thoughts, but I'm gonna let this go for a little bit until I upset 99% of the tribalist people that hate Coil right now.
Great example. I'm not about to read all that because we got way more stuff to go through. Way more, but best believe, should this go to trial? These are all the arguments that they're going to make at trial. NoPixel server is controlled by Mitchell Clout. He's ran the server since 2016. The company is...
Well, I'm going to say it. This looks to me like this guy, like DW, was working with Coil for a while until he started working with this fucking Tove talent fucking agency. And then Tove in their contract kind of said something along the lines of whatever you create for NoPixel, like, you know, belongs to us as far as profit also is concerned. He never informed Coil of that. So now he's trying to argue that Coil was in a contract that he never knew he was a part of. This fucking reads as the scummiest fucking shit. The scummiest fucking shit I've ever heard, honestly.
Owned and controlled by Mitchell Clout. Tracy was one of dozens of the contributors to the NoPixel server. All of these people were overseen by Clout, who was solely responsible for overseeing the coordination of the work and content submissions, as final say over all changes and additions to the code on the NoPixel server. Mr. Tracy did aid in building in-game mechanics and reviewing development ideas. That is no way made
because, like, if you can't provide Coil knowing about this contract, Coil signing a contract, or even agreeing to a contract, it's as good as this contract never fucking existed in the first place. This is so fucking scummy, brother, that you try to rope in a fucking person that works with you in a contract that they never knew even existed so you can take money from them. It is insane.
Tracy, the lead developer on anything other than many contributors. DW at best contributed less than 1% of the total.
I was never a fan of DW from the get. Me either, to be honest with you.
Code on the server. Furthermore, when the dispute arose between Tracy and Mr. Clout, the relationship with Coil and the NoPixel server was terminated, something that could not happen if he actually shared joint control over the work.
That's a truthful statement.
Mr. Tracy lacked control of the work, and absence of control is strong evidence of the absence of co-ownership. Accordingly, the first sector weighs strongly in the defendant's favor. There are no objective manifestations of shared intent to be considered as co-authors.
So far, all this saying, who has provided evidence of anything? Only Coil. Only Coil has provided evidence that there was an agreement made via Discord that these guys were like working together, and nowhere in that agreement it said anything about 50% of the earnings are yours, blah, 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 blah. The only part that says that is in the Tove contract signed between DW and that company, in which Coil, there's no evidence that he ever even saw or knew that thing to be true. And I don't believe that if he had seen that, he would have continued to work with DW. That's like, you cannot convince me of that shit.
Is, hey, with regards to the second factor, not only are there no objective manifestations of a shared intent to be considered co-authors, all of the evidence shows that the parties did not intend it to be considered co-authors. Tracy will retain a copyright of ownership of all his contributions to the NoPixel server, but that he is granting Coil a license to use the contribution. There could not be a clear manifestation of intent not to create joint work. Even if the court believes that there's a question of fact to whether DW agreed to the TOS, the terms are clear and objective manifestation of defendant's intent alone are a reason to deny the instant motion. Like I said, Tove is looking for half of the company, half of the entire NoPixel server. So
are you guys like following this in the same way that I am? This is fucking disgusting.
Tracy states that Tove owns the copyright to his code, not that it was a joint work in which both Tove and Coil own the copyright. That is the end analysis. Both plaintiff Tove agree that the code written by Tracy is owned either by Tracy or Tove. Neither party claims that it was a joint work, which I don't think they do. This really is like I hate to say like bad faith cash grab, but when more evidence comes to light, you will see. You may see it. You may be team DW, you may be team Coil. I really don't know. Like, this is completely a wonky.
So if you're saying, first of all, if you're saying that 50% of the whole like rights to the server should be yours, then I feel like your code should be compared against the whole project and not just the back end, right? So like DW side is just using the back end and saying, hey, it's 40 to 70%. Whereas Coil side is saying your code only makes up 0.57% of the whole project. And I feel like Coil side is right about that, because if you're going to claim you have ownership at like you need 50% of a whole, then your code needs to be against the whole, not just the back end. You know what I mean? So that's where I stand with that.
His contribution to more than 6 million lines of code were at best 0.57% of the total code. Remember,
like if you're gonna say that 50% of the entire project is yours, then your code should run against the entire fucking project, not just the back end. It's like if this was like HBO and the guy that codes like the payment for HBO said that he has the right to every single fucking episode of every show ever made by HBO just because he coded the payment for Max. This is like so absurd.
they're arguing DW or code. So Koyo is arguing total code. They're just arguing backend code, which you're going to see is just a payment system. Literally, his contributions were not to the creative part of NoPixel, but were merely code allowed NoPixel's API to interact with T-Beck's payment platform. Here we go. While it's necessary that the defendant be able to get paid, that is not why customers come to NoPixel. They come to play the game, something that DW made no contributions to. An analogy to Mr. Tracy's argument would be if the person who created the code that allowed Netflix to take credit cards then claimed they were the co-authors of thousands of hours of movies and television series that they had nothing to do with. People come and use NoPixel services because of Mr. Tracy's services, and such third factor also weighs strongly in defendant favors. So to be considered a co-author, a person must take more than a minimus contribution. Argument number 4. Like this is them laying out all their cards on the table, which we're soon going to see their evidence.
And I kind of agree with that too, because like when NoPixel didn't have mechanics at all, people came to play on NoPixel because NoPixel was immersive. It was new. The RP was fired by like the people on it. So like having mechanics was never really a thing that made people that play on NoPixel because the player base had sticks and stones in the beginning, you know, for it to start. So like you can't say that people only play on this server because of my heist. No, it's not because of that. People play on the server because they do it for the RP, like with each other. The mechanic is like secondary to that.
There was never a loan out agreement for Mr. Tracy services. Now this is very, very dubious stuff right here when we get to the evidence. Plaintiff claims that it owns the copyright of Tracy's work, which we know. He began working for DW in 2020 and in May 2021. He was paying him
what's Hassan's take on this?
$10,000 per month. They was making so much money. However, Tracy wanted to remain in the United States, so he contacted Tove to see if it would sponsor his visa. Defendant, being an Australian company, did not care where Tracy worked. Tracy had the ability to make additional money by streaming on the Twitch network. So Tracy entered into an illegal agreement with Tove, where Tove would sponsor.
I feel like Hassan would call DW a colonizer because he's British. And since Coil comes from a penal colony of Australia, I feel like Hassan would probably side with fucking Coil. Get out of here, colonizer! Trying to take the colonized money.
Sir Tracy's visa, falsely claiming that it was necessary to hire a non-immigrant foreigner to do this work, and in exchange, Tracy would pay Tove out of his streaming income his alleged salary of $8,750 per month, plus 30% of everything he made in addition to the $8,750. We're going to see his contract. We're going to do a little deep dive in it.
What?
Plaintiff is alleged.
This is so illegal. Hold up. Do not care where Mr. Tracy worked. Mr. Tracy had the ability to make additional money by streaming on the Twitch network. So Mr. Tracy entered into an illegal arrangement with Tove, where Tove would sponsor Mr. Tracy's H-1B visa, falsely claiming that it was necessary to hire a non-immigrant foreigner to do this work. And in exchange, Mr. Tracy would pay Tove out of his streaming income for the alleged salary of $8,750 per month, plus 30% of everything. Bro, why did the DW put himself in a situation where he would be so fucking exploited by these fucking devilish goddamn vultures? This is actually insane. $8,750 a month plus 30% of everything he made? That is so criminal, though, because it's like you're paying. This is illegal because you're paying to essentially you're paying a company to be able to stay in a country. That like you can't do that. And also, I've highlighted this before, right? To say that you needed a person to do a job that they could do from anywhere else in the world for no reason on American soil is ridiculous because you could do this fucking job from Antarctica. I like how Coyle was like, paid Prio was DW's idea and he took all the money for that. And I didn't see a cent. And at the same time, DW only wrote 0.01% of the code. It wasn't 0.001% of the code. It was 0.57% against the whole code of the entire project. And I think that that estimate is the right one because if you want 50% of a whole project, then you can't just compare only your backend code. You gotta compare like the amount of your code that is in the whole project. If you think you deserve 50% of a whole project, then your code needs to be compared against the entire project.
The 8,750. We're going to see his contract. We're going to do a little deep dive in it a little bit later. What plaintiff is alleging is that there was a loan-out agreement for Tracy's services, despite the fact that Tracy was...
He was better off marrying a random off the street. 1,000,000%. This is crazy. This guy is being like hella exploited. But you know these motherfuckers should be in jail, right? These stove guys, they should be in fucking jail. This is criminal. Like this is not fucking okay.
Already employed full-time by the defendant. Defendant never agreed to a loan-out agreement or was even told that such an agreement existed. And defendant continued to pay Tracy his salary directly to him after the alleged loan-out agreement took place. They go in on the visa. And why the visa is so important? Because only 65,000 visas are issued per year. And
bench trial. I think the W was already in the US with a programming job prior to working on NoPixel. He probably just wanted to stay in the US. Oh, the plot thickens.
And they talk about
it's still immigration fraud.
How COO Jack West Khalil stated under penalty that Tracy was to work full-time for Tove as Tove's developer. They are going at him. They're going at Khalil very hard.
Hey, this fucking Khalil guy deserves nothing but the worst. Like in a monetary sense. Whatever happens here, this guy needs to pay for all the exploitation.
Hard. Okay. But it's basically saying that, hey, you guys are running a pay for stay system and it's illegal. That's their argument. Once plaintiff, now, number 5, once Tracy became an employee, plaintiff began invoicing defendant NoPixel for Tracy services under the loan-out agreement. And some of the amounts set forth those invoices were initially paid to plaintiff. So we saw the invoices, they were for $5,000. Now they call out Khalil again for not presenting any details what the alleged arrangement was, how he arrived at it, and when it was entered into or who agreed to the arrangement. Of course, this is because no such arrangement existed. But considering so much of the plaintiff's motion is based on this alleged agreement, the absence of any details is further evidence it did not exist. They keep going on about this loan-out program. There's no evidence of an agreement and it's legal. So look, the conclusion.
This fucking thing could have a DW never be allowed in the US again. I don't know who would be held liable for this though, if it would be just these stove guys or if DW would actually get in trouble for this. I feel like immigration would fucking hate this. They would, I don't know, man. U.S. immigration is so fucked up that they will like blacklist you for nothing. And this is something, you know what I mean? This is more than nothing. So
this is where, you know, it gets a little spicy. Then we're gonna get directly into some evidence. Mr. Tracy is not John Lennon to Coyle's Paul McCartney, the Bernie Taupin to Coyle's Elton John, or the Hal David to Coyle's Burt Bacharach. He is one of dozens of developers who contribute to
Mr. Tracy is not the Elton John to Coyle's Paul McCartney, the Bernie Taupin to Coyle's Elton John, or the Hal David to Coyle's Burt Bacharach. Who the hell is that?
NoPixel server, and his contributions make up best 50% of the total code minus.
This is like old people trying to speak old people lingo. I feel like it's the lawyer trying to get into the age bracket of the judge so the judge understands what is going on here. I feel like he's trying to speak boomer in the clearest way possible right now.
Minuscule amount. The idea that his tiny contribution to allow him or Tove to be considered a joint author is without merit. There is zero evidence that the party intended for the server to be considered a joint work. Instead of all the evidence shows that it was never such an intention. Plaintiff respectfully requests that the court not only deny plaintiff's motion, but that the court holds it as undisputed that there was no joint work and dismiss the plaintiff's first cause of action outright, as there is no remaining trivial questions of fact regarding this matter. What do you guys think of this shit? I think it's crazy, but let's continue, right? We got to continue into the statement of Larry Zerner. Larry M.F. Zerner, please say the F,
like,
okay?
I know a lot of people like love to hate on Coyle, but the more I look at this, I'm sorry, guys. If you came in here to hate on Coyle, this is not the right spot for that, because like the more I see things, the more there is little reason to hate on Coyle.
So this is his sworn statement where he's just about to just provide a bunch of evidence. Now, the first piece,
Hey, I don't hate this Henry Brazilian guy because I would have never read through thousands of pages of a lawsuit. So I do appreciate that he's like condensing that shit into a video and narrating over it, because it's the only way that I would even look at this. This is too much for me to care. And I'm grateful that he fucking condensed that shit.
piece of evidence that you're going to see is the contract that DW signed for that one video gamer company. Now, we don't need to go through all of this, where they talk about the salary, right? Here's his salary. He's making $105,000.
Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer, you think he wouldn't? Bruce Rivers too big, too high profile. The guy is covering Diddy. He's just too high profile for this.
Dollars per year. He'll be payable in periodic installments according to the company's standard payroll. Now, this is where it gets murky. All right, sponsorships. The company shall retain 30% of the gross amount paid for sponsorships, and you should be paid the remaining 70% of the gross amount paid for the sponsorship, subject to unless payroll deductions and withholdings required by law. Now, when we get down to ownership, right here, ownership of intellectual property, this number 8 is what their entire lawsuit rests on. During your employment with the company, any creative or intellectual property developed and originated by you in performing your duties for the company will be company property. You will not, without an express written agreement signed by the company CEO, have any right to the property. Now, think about this.
Like, how the fuck can you sign a contract that says that? Like, this is so scummy. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. How can you knowingly sign a contract that says that and not let the other person that you're working for know about this?
This guy has been working for you for a year or so. All the work he does, all of a sudden his visa is on the line. He wants to stay in America, even though he can do this job from anywhere in the world. He wants to stay in America. Well, he signs his contract. And according to DW, he told Coyle, hey, I signed this contract. Even if that's true, right? Even if it's true, did he say, hey, by the way, anything?
Listen, none of that shit. There is no reason to believe Coyle knew about this because none of it was submitted into evidence. There is no evidence that Coyle knew about this. And I'm going to say this. I would bet my limbs that if Coyle was ever notified of this, he would not work with him. Like this screams a fucking red flag. Like, hey, I'm going to work for you, but I also signed a contract with this company that makes it so that the TOS of your service is completely invalidated by the contract that I just signed, which makes them own everything that I code for you. There is no fucking way. There is no fucking way that Coyle would be like, all right, mate, let's have some shrimp on the barbie. Like, there's no fucking way.
Thing that I work on, they own. Probably not. Nope. So let's keep going. Because if you would have told him that,
there's no fucking way. He would have been like, okay, I don't think I can like work with you anymore.
The guy on the spot, and you address that right away. Now let's keep going.
It's like a fake loophole. Yeah, I mean, it's scummy as hell, dude. When did Coyle get here? Was that a good impression? I feel like he says cunt a lot. It would have been like, I cunt. I cunt. Let's get to coding. I don't know, man. Every time I try to sound fucking Australian, I sound British. And every time I try to sound British, I sound Australian. It's crazy.
is more of the contract.
Yeah, DW seems to have taken advantage of not that Coyle was dumb, that Coyle was naive. I feel like DW seems to have taken advantage of the fact that Coyle was naive. 1,000,000%, you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to so much money on the line, as well as something like as big as NoPixel, you gotta understand that there are people that are gonna try to snake their way into it and try to fucking pull that shit from you. You know what I mean? The world is ruthless, and people are evil, and people are fucking disgusting. And the more things you have to lose, the more shit people are going to latch on to you. That's just something you gotta fucking learn, you know what I mean? That is exactly what happened here, yeah. Coyle was naive not to understand that, like, he was a prime target for, like, someone try to fuck you over for money type vibe, you know what I mean? As are people that have anything to lose, you know?
contract, this offer, if not
How much do you think XQC and Buddha make for NoPixel? Nothing. I feel like my personal take is that Coil like opened up what happened to XQC and Buddha, and XQC and Buddha bought parts of it to then give it back to Coil in case he actually lost this crazy lawsuit. I feel like they did that out of friendship and knowing that Coil was being victimized by this guy. If I were to guess, you know what I mean? I don't think Buddha or XQC actually care about NoPixel. They just wanted to have a way to give Coil's baby back to him. If, for some reason, this shit actually, went through and he lost.
not accept it will expire at the close of business on October 31st, 2021, which coincidentally, right? Let's get to the sworn statement of none other than Coil, right? This is Coil's sworn statement. He owns 100% of Coil, okay?
I feel like maybe they needed someone in the US to be owners of NoPixel. Perhaps, but I also think that if Coil lost part of it to DW, then they would just give it back to Coil. It's not like he would be left with nothing, you know what I mean?
I thought Buddha and XQC owned a portion, but I think they own a portion of
But I honestly don't think either of them bought it caring about it. Like caring about it that way. Like, I'm going to buy it because it's a profitable business. Especially XQC. I feel like XQC wouldn't have bought it thinking, hey, I can make some fucking money out of this. You know what I mean?
Necessarily the company per se. In 2020, Danny Tracy acquired an account in the NoPixel server. We know this. 2020. The terms, hey, non-exclusive, permanent, irrevocable license. We know this. Tracy agreed to the terms and service. We're going to see that exhibit 2 when that comes up. He agreed to them, or someone agreed to him. I obtained this document by going to administration page for the Zenforo forum, which lets me see the status of all persons who have an account on the NoPixel server. We're going to get to it. Don't worry. Now, he swears that, hey, he never intended that DW or Tove be a joint author. NoPixel code, that's why the terms of service expressly state that the contributions continue to fully own the code that they submit. They're just providing Coil with a license to use the code. I never told DW or Tove that I considered them to be joint authors. And prior to this lawsuit, Mr. Tracy never told me that he considered himself or Tove to be a joint author. He had never ever said anything like that to me. I would have immediately told him that was not the case, so there would be no confusion. In fact, I have never had any agreement whatsoever with Tove, nor have I had any communication with Tove, whether orally or in writing. And I was unaware of the existence.
It rests on DW to prove that this, like the otherwise of this, you know what I mean? And if he wasn't able to produce any evidence that, the other way around was the case, then you can't sit here and think that DW was in the right. I feel like Coil was on a fast track to get fucked over because he was naive.
Or alleged involvement, ownership, and content in any content until this lawsuit. The only agreement I had was with DW in connection with ownership or licensing content within the terms. Contrary to Tove's claims, DW was not the lead developer, nor was he responsible for managing the work of other developers or handling technical operations, infrastructure, or development.
Do you think DW would have had as much time to roleplay if he was the lead dev on anything?
And DW certainly was not any time primary contributor to the backend code of NoPixel server. Okay, his work was a small percentage of the overall work performed by many other developers and was always...
No, he sure acted like a lead developer, though, for 100%,
my management and control. There were 10 other developers.
Well, just because you, have delusions of grandeur, it doesn't mean that you're actually grand.
Working for Coil on the NoPixel server. DW was never credited as co-author on the server, nor were any other developers.
Yeah, but like Snow is the lead dev on Purple and spends a lot of time on the server, but you gotta think that like NoPixel was like, running like a crazy fucking machine of like pushing stuff like it's different. You can't compare like apples to oranges, Epic Huggles. You cannot compare NoPixel at its peak with the amount of fucking players that it had and the amount of stress that it like had on it and the need to like fucking correct all of that. There's no comparison.
Which is, another truthful statement. The credited owner of the NoPixel server is Coil. I have also been made aware that Mr. Tracy and Tove claimed the nature of their claim work was to build.
Isn't that a classic narcissist, though? Complaining about other people and talking about how their work is shit? That screams classic narcissism to me. Not being able to give people props where prop is due and keep putting the people that work with you down. I don't know. That sounds classically narcissistic to me. Especially especially if it's like if it's constantly what you do, you know? Just talking shit about the work of other people.
Payment processing system. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, all the times, even before DW began making these these alleged contributions, Coil utilized third-party platform provider TBEX to process payments. The only work Tracy performed, therefore, was limited to creating some additional code to facilitate interactions with the TBEX payment platform. In the agreement Coil had, work was never with Tove. At no time ever did I enter in any agreements for Tove to loan out the services of Tracy to Coil. At no time was I ever informed that Tracy or Tove or anyone else had performing work for Tove or Tove's behalf. The first I heard of them was this lawsuit. Now, the big one. Neither did I ever enter into a contract to pay.
Crazy. Can you imagine like being informed that you were in a contract you never even heard of? Wow.
So 50% of NoPixel's revenue. Further, like we got to keep going. The foregoing, the only arrangement Coil had with DW and Tracy alone. In fact, for these services, Coil agreed to compensate Tracy and Tracy only, who was paid directly. He goes on to say he never paid Tove, was aware of their existence, save for 2 invoices that Tracy submitted for payment that Tove's email is on. Still, Mr. Tracy immediately informed me that those invoices, which I paid, were submitted in error, after which the payments were reversed. New invoices submitted were paid. All such payments, without the exception, were made to Tracy's personal PayPal account. So you guys kind of get the picture. There was no 50% partner. We did agree to give Tracy revenue.
This is honestly fucking like damning evidence as fuck, right? Because no payments were ever made, and the ones that were like reimbursed like straight away.
Share for four servers of the mini NoPixel servers. So 4. Namely, priority queue sales of the white priority server, the India server, the Spain server, South America server, only while he was working for NoPixel and delivering promised products, helping the infra team in developing 4 mods monthly, 1 including Red Dead Redemption, which never was completed. That was it. And while this argument was in writing on Discord, there was no written oral argument with anyone at any time. Coil would pay Tracy or Tove 50% of all servers, otherwise make a partner. In addition, oh gosh, he wants to talk about the leak. In addition to the foregoing, I wish to address the claim as stated in plaintiff's separate statement of undisputed facts that Mr. Tracy was a talented developer and I defamed him. First, DW was serviceable as a developer, but no more talented than the dozen other developers that were working for Coil. More importantly, however, at no time did I defame Mr. Tracy. Now, it's interesting that he said that because in his letter to the government that was written, I believe, in 2022, he did hype him up as saying he's the
But you would do that for immigration to help a friend out. To me, that is irrelevant.
Mastermind. So look, man, hey, it is what it is. Okay, let's keep going through. Let's get to another exhibit. Now we're looking at depositions of William Francis, which is the quote unquote expert, which is the COO of Tove. This is where he's trying to make the argument of the pay for stay. Wasn't DW required to stream enough that you could clear the $8,750 a month that you were paying him? And of course, Tove lawyer objects, assumes facts, not an evidence. But Jackie says, look, I wouldn't call it a requirement. It was for both our benefits that he streamed to earn the income and the donations. So he could, not only could we pay his salary, we could cover his salary and operational costs, but that he could also make more money on top of that, which is weird. Like, look, here's the thing, right? If he's making money streaming, why does he have to give it to you? Why is that part of your salary? Is streaming part of him working for Tove? Were you taking his streaming money? He's hired as lead developer. That streaming money is completely apart from development, right? All right, now look.
That is so fucking scummy, bro. These guys need to go to jail. The people that were doing this to DW need to be fucking jailed. Like, this is insane.
His lawyer, look, man, these lawyers don't object to everything. I disagree. So said the witness.
Like you're taking this man's streaming money for when he's hired as a developer for you. That does not make any sense at all, dude.
A lot of his development was done while streaming, or a lot of his customization and some of his work was done during streaming. So he's basically saying, no, he's streaming code at the same time. And, so that's him working for us. Zerner ain't no fool.
Like,
so he
keeps these guys actually deserve to go to jail. Like, if there's a person who actually deserves to be criminally charged, it's these fucking Khalil motherfuckers. They fucking deserve to be jailed for this.
He keeps pressing the issue. So
like the immigration fraud. And he should be suing his own agency. 1,000,000%. This is so criminal. Like, this is crazy criminal. Who was taking his streaming money? Tove. So Tove is like a talent agency. All right, let me just run this back, okay? DW was working with Coil for a year, right? They had an agreement that happened over Discord that he was going to be working on NoPixel with Coil. as a like a collaborative thing. He wasn't getting paid for it at all. He wanted to do it voluntarily. Like in the beginning, he was doing like voluntary work, tail end of like 2.0. So they worked for like a year. Like DW worked for like a year on NoPixel, and then he signed with this talent agency called Tove that essentially put him in a contract that said that everything that he coded for NoPixel was owned by the agency, right? DW essentially signed that contract and didn't tell Coil about it. So Coil had no idea that DW's work was actually per contract with DW owned by the agency. You know what I mean? And DW didn't inform him of that. Who the fuck knows why? I mean, you know why. I'm sorry. He was suing him for it. So to me, it's kind of obvious that he was trying to fucking get a lick from that, you know? And Coyle was only informed that this was the case with this lawsuit. He had no idea then. So essentially, this agency was taking close to fucking $9,000 a month from DW's streaming, from his earnings, his fucking direct fucking earnings on Twitch. They were fucking sucking money out of him to keep him in the US for a job they lied to immigration about. They needed him to be in the US for, because he's a developer. He can do the job from anywhere, right? So essentially they committed immigration fraud while exploiting the fuck out of DW, which is like so crazy. These guys should be in fucking jail for doing that shit.
If Danny got $10,000 and he gets the first $2,000, then you get the rest, right? Then you still split it up afterwards. So he's trying to basically hone him down. So traditionally, the way it works is
I mean, he could have literally picked some bitch off the street and married her, and it wouldn't. None of this would have happened. I'm sure that, like, making bank as you are, you could find any fucking bitch to marry you. You know what I mean? Be like, hey, I make $150K a year. Do you want to get married? Any bitch. Any fucking you could literally throw a pebble in the US and hit a bitch that would say yes to that. Like, straight up. Just throw a pebble out the fucking window, especially in LA. You're gonna hit a bitch that's gonna say, oh, okay, let's get married.
the management firm would collect the money from what are generally like marketing or influencer agencies, so like an MCM. So they would collect the money, they would take their fees and any cost they had on there. So if they were FedExing stuff or Ubering things, sometimes you have, products and stuff. So they would take their cost out, and that would be sent to Tove, where we would then take our percentage out and then hold the rest and send it to DW at a later date. And when he got the money, so the employment agreement says that Tove is only entitled to 30%. So when he got money, Tove would actually take the first $8,750 or 100% of that money before they did the 70-30 split, correct? Jackie is on the ropes. I don't know if I would characterize it like that way. You would have to look at it from like an engagement of all of the income that was coming in for a month. The salary was the base, plus I think there were some operational and overhead.
Here's another thing too that I think it's worth like noting as well. Throughout this entire thing, Coyle just kept doing his own thing and kept working. DW fucking disappeared. You know what I mean? And I would think that he is not coming back. He is not coming back at all. Like, there's no way that after losing a court case like this, where this stuff gets exposed, that you would have any sort of fucking future, at least in streaming. This is scummy as hell, man. And after losing a lawsuit like this, you can't just go online and say, without being liable for a lawsuit, you can't just go online and say, I'm telling the truth. That's not going to happen. Is he still with Onyx? For the sake of Onyx, maybe he shouldn't be.
which Danny had agreed upon. I think that was like, $12.50, like that number should be aiming for a bare minimum. Anything over that, not only taking my 10% covering the cost, but it'll be extra bonus money for him. If there was a sponsorship deal, like using your example of $10,000, we'll receive $8,000, I would take into account, we would account for the $3,000 and then Danny would take the extra $5,000 as a bonusable income. Hey, does this make sense to any of y'all reading this? Right. So if you only made $10,000 in a month and it's a single month from streaming money, did Tove keep all of that? Objection. The witness says, I would also say that it never happened. Yeah, it never happened until the end of 2022. I think we also at some point agreed that end of summer, maybe beginning of the
bonus.
fourth quarter, and that's the end.
Hold up, let me run this back. This is insane.
End of 2022. I think we also at some point agreed that end of summer, and it's a single month from streaming money. Did Tove keep all of that? Objection. The witness says, I would also say that it never happened. Yeah, it never happened until the end of 2022. I think we also at some point agreed that end of summer, maybe beginning of the fourth quarter, and that's the end of his testimony. But what do you think so far of the evidence that he presented? We went over, I believe we went over, not only taking my 10% covering the cost, but it'll be extra bonus money for him. If there was a sponsorship deal, like using
all right, let me read that. The salary was the base, plus I think there was some operational overhead, which Danny and I had agreed upon. I think that it was like 12,500 was like the number he should be aiming for as a bare minimum. Anything over that was not only my taking my 30% in covering cost, but it was extra bonus money for him. I'm sorry, DW. You need to earn 20K for us last month before we will allow you to live. This is crazy, brother. This is insane. If there was a sponsorship deal, like using your example of 10,000, we would receive 8,000. I would take in accounting, we would take account for the 3,000, and then Danny would have the extra 5,000 as a bonusable income.
Your example of $10,000 will receive $8,000. I would take into account, we would account for the $3,000 and then Danny would take the extra $5,000 as a bonusable income. Hey, does this make sense to any of y'all reading this? Right. So if you only
what the fuck, bro? This is like horrible.
Make $10,000 in a month and it's a single month from streaming money. Did Tove keep all of that? Objection. The witness says, I would also say that it never happened. Yeah, it never happened until the end of 2022. I think we also at some point agreed that end of summer, maybe beginning of the fourth quarter, and that's the end of his testimony. But what do you think so far of the evidence that he presented? We went over, I believe we went over Clout's statement. Now we have the declaration.
Why the fuck did DW sue Coil? He should have fucking sued these guys. What the fuck?
Of Gary Kitchens. Now this is going to be their expert. Now look, it's 46 pages. No way in hell am I reading that. We're going to do like we always do and just go to the conclusions. Because he gives his resume, what devices he used. Like I said, if you want to stop and pause this to, for all the programmers out there in the chat, summary of findings. Look, page 8. Page 8, he's standing on business. Mr. Francis' methodology, which purports to assign percentage of contributions to the overall project of Mr. Tracy's code, is incorrect and fraught in inaccuracies. Based on my calculations, more accurate percentage of the contribution of PW's code as compared to the entire NoPixel project is 0.057%. So he's always going to compare the code to everything as opposed to the code used on the back end, which, is going to bode well for him. But like, this is way, way too technical for me. But I know we do have like some people in code that probably want to see this report and go over it, but we just have to focus that, hey, the back end code, they're focusing on all the code. And he goes on to kind of explain why William Francis' report is inaccurate versus the accuracy of his report. But like I said, I'm not one of these ninjas out here. This is the order for summary judgment that's going around. Now, here's the thing, guys. Their motion for summary adjudication was denied.
I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's weird because if you're saying that out of a whole project, you want 50%, then you sure as fuck you're going to have your code calculated against the entire project. You don't deserve a 50% of a whole project if your code is not being run against the entire project. And your code better be fucking 50% or close to that in relation to the whole project, which is not the case. In relation to the whole project, his code is 0.57%. Whereas he gets that percentage higher with his own side, because he's only running it against the back end. So it's like, if you run it in a vacuum like that, then why the fuck do you want 50% of the whole project?
And like I said, it was denied based on the fact that the facts have still been, they haven't been disputed yet. But here's the
No, they didn't lump in all the GTA code craze, man.
The bigger picture, right? Coyle, this lawyer, is crafty. Larry Zerner is top tier, right? So they have this hearing scheduled for the 21st. And he like, look, defendant's reply brief in support of motion for summary judgment. You like,
and the percentage is 0.57%.
What is this? This is
If you want 50% of a whole project, you cannot say that just because you wrote the fucking ping backend, like literally, this is as if HBO Max, if the person that codes for the payment of HBO Max was like, I own every single episode of Game of Thrones and every other fucking TV show and movie that's available on Max because I coded the fucking payment method. It's fucking insane.
them saying their time is up.
It's
what
fucking delusional.
happened was on September 23rd, 2024, Hoyle filed the instant motion for summary judgment per the court rules, which I do have a copy of it. And Tove's opposition brief was due to be filed no later than September 30th, 2024, 21 days to the October 24th hearing date. Plaintiff did not file any opposition brief to the defendant's motion. Accordingly, defendants request that the court enter summary judgment in defendant's favor, as there is no issues in dispute. So Larry Zerner is like, look, man, they didn't respond in time, which means everything we said is true, and they agree. Now, as technical as this is, and even though it may be in Coyle's favor of them not responding, I don't know if this is going to work. In the present case, the plaintiff has not presented any evidence to convert the now undisputed, now they say all their facts is undisputed, that Tracy granted the license via the TOS, there was never a loan out agreement, and that the code Tracy contributed to the NoPixel server was not a joint work. Thus, neither Tracy nor plaintiff can be considered a joint author. Now, here's the thing, right? I checked the court docket. This is today. This is October 16th as I'm recording this. And there is nothing in there at the bottom. Nothing in there at the bottom. Like nothing whatsoever. I'm like, they filed this on October 3rd. You would think you get a reply. Here is the defendant's notice of motion for summary judgment. It pretty much wraps up. It repackages everything in there. However, there's one kicker in it, right? There's one like, oh man, because if you go through this, right, and you're like, well, what was it? What did they file? You see Mitchell Clout's statement again, where he basically regurgitates the same. But this is a declaration of Benjamin Lau, okay? He's an attorney licensed to practice in the state of California. You're like, well, who the hell is this Benjamin Lau guy? He works for a law firm. What is he? He is the immigration counsel for that one Videotainment Entertainment LLC. Okay, so he's like, yo, he's the lawyer for Tove. And
he's the
he can says, look, I can confirm that immigration counsel for Tove, had no conversation with that one Video Entertainment regarding the existence of a loan out company. That one Video Entertainment never
This is fucking immigration fraud. Hello?
informed me of the existence of a loan out company or any agreement with a loan out company. Now, look, man, I don't know if this is going to be the smoking gun that is needed to secure the case or anything like that, but it is telling.
Maybe they didn't fucking respond to it because this became bigger than some scam to cheat fucking Coyle out of money. This became like what concerns immigration is a federal crime, right? Like as far as immigration is concerned, that would be a federal crime, wouldn't it?
That you have all this, and I don't know, guys. What do you make of this? I don't know DW. I don't know Coyle. I don't know anybody. But this is very telling.
I don't know anybody. I don't know these people. I don't know anybody.
In that one video game over the ownership of DW.
This is a fucking federal crime. So I feel like the reason why they didn't respond is literally because this is a fucking federal crime.
Contributions to the NoPixel server has come to an end. I saw screenshots of the court order on Reddit along with Coyle's victory post on Twitter. Some Redditor pointed out that they knew it was over when Tove did not respond to the motion for summary judgment. Another person called the lawsuit shady, noting that people cannot work 2 jobs here on a visa. Lastly, questioned how DW is legally staying in the United
This man is pulling out Reddit comments. You know what? Henry Resilient should have pulled out Reddit comments before any of this shit became public, in his video rundown, and a bunch of fucking armchair fucking lawyers were saying that fucking DW had a fucking case. He should have picked up the fucking Reddit comments that were fucking riding DW's dick just because they didn't fucking like Coyle.
States if he's not streaming. The funniest part was someone noting that DW and his lawyer went MIA after DW's visa application.
If anything, Coyle is kind of owed an apology from people that fucking thought that he did anything bad to DW and just took "trust me, bro" as a source to harass the guy, honestly.
With shared oil. In terms of X, someone knew it was a lawsuit was legalized theft when they saw Tove was involved because of the alleged fraud with the completionist in which Tove's brother had a part in. A family that scams together stays together. After a year of litigation, Tove finally waved the white flag and the company
These fucking guys look like actual mobsters. Look at their fucking faces. If you told me this was a family of goddamn scam artists, I'd be like, yeah. Yeah. Let me just fucking get myself out of this. I'm sorry. If this was a documentary about some fucking dudes that work with like immigration fraud and like fucking indentured servitude and shit like that, I would believe you. Look at them. Like the art, the character design looks very real for how shady this shit is. It's crazy. If you were to sign with a, if you were to sign with like a company, and this was their like welcome to our business photo, would you sign with them? I would be like, no, no. I can see the con in their eyes. The guy in the middle is Fat Tony. I can see the fucking con in how dead inside they look from their smiling. Yeah, they're gonna steal the money and sexually harass all the women if these were characters. I'm saying this not as a fact. Not as a fact. I'm just reading chat.
Together stays together.
Hey, just trust me. We're family, okay? You signed this contract with me right now, and then we sue Coyle for all the money that he has, and you become a rich man. You become a rich guy. Come on. Come on! Come on! He'll never know. He never know what hit him. He'll never know what hit him. Bada bing, bada boom. He'll never know what hit him.
After a year of litigation, Toe finally waved the white flag, and the company may end up going bankrupt based on Coyle's lawyer's next file.
Hey, we commit a little, let me go back.
Year litigation. In a
Hey, we commit a little bit of immigration fraud. No one's gonna fucking know. No one's gonna fucking know. Alright? No one's gonna fucking know. You signed this contract with me. We take millions from Coyle. We take millions from Coyle. No one's gonna fucking know. And after that, you can just ride into the sunset and live in fucking Los Angeles if you want. Just a little immigration fraud. Forget about it. Hey, you can trust me. I'm your friendly agent. Would I fuck you over? Would I fuck you over? Come on, Danny.
family that scams together stays together. After a year of litigation, Toe finally waved the white flag, and the company may end up going bankrupt based on Coyle's lawyer's next filing, and DW may end up getting deported. Tove has no one to blame but COO Jacques Khalil and DW for its future losses in their get-rich-quick scheme to sue Coyle. The big question is, how did Coyle win? Coyle won by and large thanks to their 30-year copyright attorney Larry Zerner, who led his legal team to victory.
Hello and welcome to Ask an Entertainment Lawyer. I'm Larry Zerner, an entertainment attorney for the past 27 years.
Oh, he's the Bruce Rivers of entertainment. The Bruce Rivers. He probably has a YouTube channel, I would assume. Hello? Does he have a YouTube channel? Chelsea, fact check. Let's see.
Zerner, an entertainment attorney for the
Victory.
Hello and welcome to Ask an Entertainment Lawyer.
Ask an Entertainment Lawyer. He Larry Zerner on YouTube. He has another lawyer that we can look at his videos for reacta. Yay! We're gonna have him and Bruce Rivers on lawyer fucking Thursdays.
I'm Larry Zerner, an entertainment
Lawyer Thursdays. Him and my boy Bruce Rivers.
Attorney for the past 27 years, and I'm here to answer your questions.
Was a settlement option ever on the table offered from either side?
No.
Wow, they really didn't offer
Nothing recent though, probably because he was busting his ass on his fucking case.
like a settlement early on, like,
you know, they were like they thought they were going to get like half of the money from NoPixel. It was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're not giving you any money.
Oh my goodness. This case has gone on for
maybe come to think of it, no, this couldn't be right, because I was thinking, like, because I thought maybe Buddha and XQC bought that so they could give it back to Coyle in case Coyle lost, but also if they have American owners in the US, wouldn't it make it so that either XQC or Buddha could go see like emergency things like relating to the lawsuit instead of Coyle having to travel to the US to go look at it. Could it be like one of those things as well? Because I don't know, right? If they're owners of the business, maybe they can like pick up paperwork and I don't know, like show up for things that I don't know, Coyle doesn't like necessarily have to travel to. I'm not sure. I still think that that Buddha and XQC bought this to be able to give it to Coyle back in case things went south with the scam from DW.
Far too long. And what you're going to notice is DW may not be no different from a dep trying
playing Friday the 13th. That's because Larry Zerner is in a Friday the 13th movie. He acted in one Friday the 13th movie, I'm pretty sure. Before he was a lawyer. I'm pretty sure that maybe that's why he has that on his YouTube channel.
NoPixel. It was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're not giving you any money.
Oh my goodness. This case has gone on for far too long.
Yeah, I recognize him too.
What you're going to notice is DW may not be no different from a dep trying to use a legal loophole to steal ownership from Coyle. What you're going to find out though is this case was actually won on September 9th after Tove's summary for adjudication was dismissed at the hearing. Do you think your lucky Crystal Lake Jason Sox played a key role?
I predict that Onyx is going to implode. And then there's going to be a massive exodus from Onyx to Purple RP because those role players are going to have nowhere to go. I don't think Onyx can sustain itself after this goddamn disgusting scandal.
And it getting denied.
I think it was going to happen anyway, but it didn't hurt that I was wearing my lucky Friday 13th stock. But here's the thing with this case. So our Judge Wilson, is a very respected judge. He's in his 80s, not a gamer. Let's just put it that way. I don't think he'd ever heard of Grand Theft Auto. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of just sort of you have to educate the judge in a way that other judges maybe more familiar. If you're a younger judge, play video games, maybe more familiar with what's going on.
I wonder how Coyle landed on this choice as his lawyer, because at the same time I feel like this guy is perfect for this job, but it's kind of strange.
So that was a first count. But in terms of their motion, not our motion, but their motion was there's this agreement between Tove and Coyle that for DW services, and we're like, there isn't. And the motion for summary judgment, it's not a question of proof. As long as there's any question of fact, the judge has to deny the motion. So we're at the hearing. Tove's lawyer talked a little bit, and then he was trying to get a hold of it, and then he had me talk, and I sort of I was like, no, there's no agreement. These people have never spoken ever. They've admitted they've never spoken ever.
He's got the fucking iPhone lisp. I hear it everywhere now. How can everybody just be okay with the iPhone giving you a goddamn lisp?
And the judge just went, can't you file a motion for summary judgment? I said, absolutely. And he said, okay. And then he's like, okay, why did you do that? So I was like, all right, well, that's what I'm going to. I said, we're ready to go. So then plaintiff's lawyer said, well, wait, can I say anything? And the judge said, nope, I don't need to hear from you.
Shut up, bitch!
After the judge told Larry to file his motion, he will waste no time. By September 23rd, he filed a final motion for the case to be dismissed. He wanted the courts to conclude that Coyle was granted a license by DW for his work when he signed on agreeing to the TOS. Also, Coyle never entered into a contract with Tove. And lastly, there was no joint ownership of the copyrighted material.
Is there anybody left in my chat right now that believes that DW is a victim of Coyle? I need to know. My brother, if you're out there, you need fucking Jesus. You need fucking Jesus. You need to go to church.
He introduced a motion to point out that Tove never communicated with Coyle and never agreed to be joint authors. This was supported by the deposition of Jacques Khalil. In Jacques' deposition, he admits that Tove never communicated with Coyle. Jacques insinuates he had indirectly, but that was DW talking to Coyle and then DW talking to Jock. In other words, Jock never spoken to Coyle directly, which begs the question, how could Coyle enter into any legal agreements with Tove? Larry would also pressure Jock during his deposition about having any written agreements.
No, I think that Tove sucked the shit out of the prio money out of DW. They like exploited the fuck out of him. I would have never, allegedly. I feel like DW must have been in on it with his Tove company, because in no world would you want to sue Coyle, having experienced what he experienced, unless he was in on it. Because like, if you have two choices there, being in DW's position, do I sue Tove or do I sue Coyle? You sue Tove, 1,000,000%. If you didn't sue them, it's because allegedly there's probably like a conspiracy going on there, you know?
With Coyle, which Jock admitted that there was none outside of the Discord messages that DW received from Coyle stipulating the terms of their agreement. The most laughable part is during Jock's deposition, he was adamant that Tove loaned out DW to work for Coyle. What was the most outlandish thing you thought Tove did? Was it the joint author or their expert witness saying like Tracy's code made up 40% of the current code, that they were not running a pay for stay visa operation? What was the most outlandish thing that you saw them like, come on, guys?
Well, that was the thing. I mean, the fact that they were saying there was an agreement between Tove and NoPixel when they had never spoken. Like there were no one had ever spoken.
And there was no fucking evidence provided to like say otherwise. There's no way you can like if you after watching this shit and reading through this shit, you think Coyle is a bad guy? You're missing goddamn brain cells.
To them, DW had been working for NoPixel for a year before they got along. And then they filed this thing with the immigration where they went, he's going to work for us. He's working like the Jock, the head of Doe files a declaration saying, I'm hiring him to work for us 100% of the time. And then we're like, I took his deposition and I said, you said you're hiring him to work for them. He's like, yes, but I'm loaning him out to you. I'm like, huh? What's talking about loaning him out? You never talked for we don't need him. He works for us. We don't need him loaned to us.
Oh, look.
So stupid. It was all so stupid. Like they filed the whole case.
So stupid. It's the fucking iPhone lisp. I swear, I wish I could hit up this guy and be like, can you believe that I end up in the hospital I was thinking I was having a stroke because the iPhone gives you a lisp? And I thought I was having a fucking stroke. I want to sue Apple so fucking bad. And everyone seems to be okay with this fucking lisp that the iPhone gives you.
Thought that this would get some kind of quick settlement or something. I don't know what they were thinking.
How you doing, Rocket Pop?
They didn't think it would get this far, and then they just got trapped. And then, we were like, no, we're not going to pay you. You're not digging anything. We're just going to keep going. And Mitch, Coyle, he's like, let's keep going. And, we did. And so we weren't worried that we would prevail in the end.
Kudos to Coyle making an example out of Tove, pushing forward, but we're not finished yet. Coyle lawyer points out DW and Tove do own the copyright. However, Coyle does not care about ownership of the copyright because he has the irrevocable unlimited license to use them, meaning the courts do not need to determine the rights of anyone in terms of copyright. He reiterated that there is no contract for DW to be loaned out, as well as DW only was entitled to 50% of the 4 of the 170 servers. But now Larry had to nail DW on agreeing to NoPixel's TOS. Proof of DW agreeing to TOS was further proof that even without
look at that. Look at that. They came in with the receipts that fucking DW accepted the terms and fucking rules.
a contract with Coyle, the TOS granted Coyle a license to DW's work. DW would try to say he didn't recall agreeing to the TOS, but just because he doesn't recall agreeing doesn't mean he didn't agree. This would solidify Coyle's fact that he agreed as being undisputed.
Okay, can somebody explain to me what the fuck that data breach thing was, though? Like, I need an explanation. Maybe we go back in time and we watch that Coyle video where he said that happened, because like, I still don't get it. You know what I mean? I still don't get it.
Just these facts alone begs the question why a lawyer would even take this case. Well, I knew why they took it, because they paid the retainer and they said, hey, we're going to pay this retainer more than likely. And at the end, there's going to be this huge settlement. And lawyers out there, sadly, can sometimes do their clients a disservice, taking cases they know they can't win, but the client can easily afford to pay for.
You know, I mean, he got passed. I mean, we filed that motion to dismiss, which you did a video on early on. You know, I thought we should have won at that stage and the case would have been over. And it wasn't. So, you know, like, there's the only credit he gets. He got it past that stage. Although, what did he get his client?
He cloned his server drives, so a copy of all data, including user data and scripts, just everything. So he tried to steal the whole thing?
It got his client a whole bunch of attorney's fees, and at the end, the same result. So I don't know that you're doing your client. You're not doing your client any favor if you're just going to charge him, you know, a whole bunch more.
No, he did that. He did steal it, you mean?
Money to get the same result.
So as long as Tove was paying their legal fees, they had a lawyer raking them over the coals in the hope of getting a settlement just to lose. And they're going to lose big. The motion continues to attack Tove expert.
You know what? And you know what's crazy if you think about it? After all of this, so like now that we know what happened, and what happened was pretty shitty, this guy went around DMing a bunch of streamers saying, hey, would you like to be in a server that Chang Yang is not a part of? Crazy. Like, getting a DM out of nowhere from him, being like, hey, would you like to join my server? A server where Chang Yang is not allowed? DW has been radio silent since Onyx release. And I don't think he'll ever speak. I don't think he'll ever speak. If anything, I feel like the GTA community should actually denounce this guy for the scummy shit that he's done, and we just never fucking talk about him again. Is he even developing on it at all? I don't think so, because like what we hear is that like he's been sick, and nothing like goes forward, right? I feel like he just like lured streamers onto a server that essentially only fucking wise guy was putting effort in, you know?
Saying that this DW
allegedly he has been quite sick at times, not sure what extent. Must be the fucking blackness of his soul that is causing him to feel ill. Must be the fucking blackness of his goddamn character that's sucking the life out of him.
Possibly could have went through some backdoor when he started playing the game, but also their
I mean, okay, being sick sucks, and I don't know his condition. I'm sorry, brother. A man that would try to do this shit to Coyle, I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. He's saying he's sick. I don't believe it. And if he is sick, it's probably just the fucking blackness of his soul.
Code expert, he tested the current code as opposed to the 2020.
Telling people you're at least still on the project would be nice, right? 100%. But I feel like at the end of the day, you know, I feel like it was a battle of egos, right? DW seems to me like he's a very narcissistic guy. He couldn't except that he wasn't a part of NoPixel anymore. So he decided to five-head Coil on Coil's naivete and start a lawsuit against him, having done all of that. All the while he was like DMing a bunch of other streamers to try to convince them that he wasn't a piece of shit and they should be part of his project, right? And I feel like a bunch of people got fucking tricked into, um, you know, like they got tricked. They got tricked of being part of a fucking project that only existed because he was trying to fuck with Coil, to fuck with Coil and try to uh, outsmart him, try to show him that he could it's kind of like how it happens in a hair salon when there's a person that works in a hair salon and they like get fired. Then they take the list of clients uh, on their way out, and then they phone every single client from the hair salon and say, hey, I moved somewhere. If you want to do your hair, I want you to know that it's not, you shouldn't do your hair there, and that the owner actually is a piece of shit that did this, and that to me. But then the proof is trust me, bro, and it's all done behind the scenes. I feel like that's like what it was, and it sucks for the people that are involved in Onyx, but I'm pretty sure that like people that are involved in Onyx will be able to like go to. I feel like Purple RP is a really good server. You know what I mean? They'll be able to like. It's a different culture entirely, right? But there are other alternatives. So people that caught a stray from this scummy shit. It's not like they're gonna be destitute, and they'll have like nowhere to go. But I don't think that Onyx can like stand it like anymore. I think this is like Onyx seems to have been a pet project to literally just fuck with Coil, and I don't think there's I don't think he will work on it or continue to work on it.
20 code when DW.
And now I'm curious what Penta knows. I think that I honestly think that the people that were approached by DW were lied to by him, and the source was essentially trust me, bro. That was pretty much it. Because if a person comes to you behind the scenes and says, hey, I have a contract with this guy where I have 50% of it, he pushed me out of the deal, and blah blah blah, and he did all of that, which was essentially what his lawyers argued for him with no evidence. Maybe that person will be inclined to think that that's true. So like the only place that needs hard evidence of things is the court of law. I don't think people through Discord DMs. Some people just take people's word for it. Onyx is really solid and has a nice direction and culture, but it's been a little slow lately. The development has been a little slow. Yeah. They need to. I feel like Wise Guy needs to kick DW out of it. I don't think that I literally knowing what that DW tried to do with Coil with like proven fucking fact in the court of law. They weren't able to produce evidence of any of the shit that they claimed as far as the hard evidence if Coil knew about it or not. They never produced any evidence of that. Coil, on the other hand, produced a fuck ton of evidence, right? And if you were to think of that just based on that alone, to be in a project that this guy is involved in, it's to support this guy's actions and what he's done to himself and try to do to other people just out of fucking ego.
You signed up, and it was his opinion in the court of law is not necessarily a fact. If he would have tested the 2020 code and he would have saw that, hey, there is a backdoor.
If I played on Onyx, I wouldn't want him to be involved. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? My mic is kind of quiet. Maybe it's because it's turned a little to the side. But yeah, I'm just saying that I wouldn't want this guy to be involved. Let me restart my microphone actually. What is it? Control panel. Control panel. I feel like there's something up with my microphone. Hardware and sounds. Sound. All right, hold on. Hello? Hello? How does my mic sound? Does it sound a little different from before? Oh yeah, the video is like super loud.
Where DW could have said, he could have said, hey, yes, I based on the 2020 code, the backdoor. DW easily could have went through it and without agreeing to the TOS. Also, their expert was trying to say that DW's code made up 40% of just the payment portion of the code, when in totality, Coil's lawyer pointed out that it only made up less than 1% of the total code on the NoPixel server. Now Larry had DW in the crosshairs. As always, Larry gave credit to DW or Tove for owning the copyright code provided, even though as moronic as it was, saying that DW owned the code before signing up with Tove, and then once he took a sponsorship from Tove, instantly Tove owned the code, whatever that is. But like I said, Coil does not care about the copyright because he has a license via the TOS, but Tove then tried to argue that they were joint authors of the NoPixel server. However, all decisions regarding code went through Coil. No one had more say than Coil on what gets approved or what gets not improved. In other words, DW literally had no say on what code went through on NoPixel. Lastly, it was rumored that DW set up the whole payment for paid priority, in which Coil disputes, saying that he paid third-party company T-Bex, who built the payment program.
We think the judge would have said, yeah, he agreed in the terms of service. It's not a joint work. That's a key point under copyright law. Is this a joint work? But the court's supposed to look at, decide whether it's a joint work. Is there any documents that show an intent, like a contract that says we intend this to be a joint work? Well, here we have a contract that the terms of service, which say we don't intend this to be a joint work. We intend this to be, you own the copyright, DW, we can use it. That's not a joint work. That's just a license. We have a license to use it, and we're using it.
Okay.
You can't. So not a joint work, and therefore you're not entitled to half of the profit. Even if they had been like it was a joint work, the case law is not you get half. I mean, you get there's cases.
I mean, I honestly appreciate this YouTuber like making these videos and running through all the process, even interviewing the lawyer and stuff. But what I hate is the background music. Holy shit, man! This guy doesn't know how to pick background music for shit at all.
Out there that like you get your contribution, the value of your contribution, which our expert, which they agreed was like less than 0.5% of the total code. I mean, they tried to say, well, yes, but we wrote 20% or 40% of this part of the code. Now, okay, well, great, but that's like the billing software. It's like they're like, we did the billing, so therefore we get all the money. It's like that's not how it works.
That is literally what I said, right? It's like you work for fucking you did the fucking billing for HBO Max, and you're saying, hey, I have the rights to Game of Thrones. It's actually insane.
Following that, Tove literally threw everything in the kitchen sink at Coil and his legal team, hoping something would stick. But this case literally has fallen apart before our eyes over the last year, and Larry was not finished. He needed to seal the deal to secure the win. This would likely bankrupt Tove in the way it's going to play out, get them fined. Jock could potentially be facing some jail time, and DW will likely get deported. This is because DW's visa into employment.
Jock is the fucking immigration lawyer. Jock is so fucked. But honestly, even more fucked, I think those Khalil guys should face legal action. And I think that if Jock actually faces jail time for that, there's no way he's not throwing that fucking family of weirdos under the bus.
Contract.
That's not why you get one of these H-1B visas. The H-1B visas are, I need someone for their expertise. I can't find an American who can do that. Well, you can find lots of Americans who can stream on Twitch and make money. That's not a thing. So
Okay.
That's a truthful statement.
As I pointed out before, DW was
XQC. Whenever I look at XQC, I think of that drawing that Meat Canyon made of him. That animation, the Meat Canyon animation of XQC is just so on point.
I am Lucifer, the devil in the flesh.
Steph,
Apple what up?
Steph, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the 21 months, man. I truly, truly appreciate it.
given a salary, and Tove would take 30% of all sponsorships, but nowhere in the employment contract does it mention DW being loaned out. Also, per Jock's deposition, he's not in the loan out business, but it was all the employment contract that stated that Tove owned all of DW's work that allowed Tove to sue Coyle. Combine that with the employment contract with Tove and DW that they agreed to, but Coyle knew nothing about it. DW would eventually admit that he never told Coyle about the loan out program, and all the money that DW made from working for NoPixel, none of it was sent to Tove. Also, it's not legal for two people to agree that one person works for each other and send the other one to work for another company and say, hey, don't tell them you work for me. You know,
true. This is fucking crazy. This is actually crazy. Yeah, don't tell that guy that you are working for, that you signed a contract with me.
They own everything, because I think the plan may have been all along was to sue Coyle, not even Tove's immigration lawyer.
And I think he's right. I think that must have been the plan, because otherwise DW would have sued these goddamn Tove bastards. Like, there's no way you can be exploited like that and think, hey, I'm just gonna sue Coyle.
Knew about this so-called own-out program. Lastly, or close to last, Larry exposes DW still being under a legal pay-to-say scheme. DW would have to pay Tove roughly $13,000 a month plus 30% of everything he made after that from streaming. But any money DW made from NoPixel, he did not pay Tove, which Jock and DW admitted, and they said they had to settle the books. Tove is also not in the business of hiring people for third parties, as this loan out thing was literally the first time that they ever done it in the history of Tove, because maybe that employment contract was literally written up on the fly and backdated. This is all speculation, but it's not like notarized, like, hey, on this date this happened. But you know, take it for what it is. Lastly, Coyle never
imagine that, right? Crazy, man. You're at a point, right? Me, for example, right? Twitch takes 50% of my pay, PayPal takes a fucking cut, and then my government takes a cut out of conversion rates. And then I paid 30% of my paycheck in Texas to the US, and then I pay at the end of the fiscal year taxes in my country again. I'm by tax, right? So like, I literally am hella exploited, and DW is being exploited because he wants to. Like, literally, he like made the choice to be in my fucking position. A position I never chose. And he's like deliberately like, yeah, come fuck me in the ass, everyone.
agreed to make DW some 50% partner of NoPixel.
Like, I have no choice for how fucking heavily taxed I am. You know? I pay US taxes too. I pay for every paycheck, but that's why making it to Partner Plus is important to me, because then the split gets to 70-30. I'm 27 subs away from that right now, by the way. Tier 3 subs help a lot, by the way. But essentially, like, per month, the US government takes 30% of the 70-30 split that Twitch already took, or the 50-50 split that Twitch already took. So imagine this, right? Per month, I make $1,000, let's say. Twitch takes 50% of that. And out of that 50% that is lasted to me, then the US government takes 30%. So 30%, I lose 80% of my earning. And then it gets to me. Then PayPal takes a cut. And then at the end of the fiscal year, I have to pay taxes in my country for like how much I made the entire year. It's sad. So I appreciate people subscribing because I would rather Twitch took 30% of my paycheck than they took 50. And if I don't make the Partner Plus this month, they're gonna take 50. Don't let them take 50. Don't let them take 50. I should at least be given a trip to Disneyland. All I'm saying is that I've been paying taxes in the US for years now, and I don't get to see any benefits. Any fucking benefits. I see zero benefits. What I get is a goddamn motherfucker in a stream with another motherfucker saying that the worst thing that happened to Twitch was the goddamn Spanish streamers. The 500,000 Brazilian Spanish streamers, he says. Did you see this, by the way, Vondel? Crazy, man. This guy's like, the worst thing that's happened to Twitch is the Spanish streamers. Like 500,000 Brazilians. And I'm like, Brazilians are not Spanish. What the fuck are you talking about? No. Somebody please let me do the thing.
Thing that happened to Twitch is actually all the Spanish streamers.
Oh shit.
Thing that happened to Twitch is actually all the Spanish streamers coming in there because it's insanely expensive, and the ads down there do not cover the cost of supporting all that.
Yeah, it's all
like,
too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like, normally people, oh man, I can't wait to have 500,000 people from Brazil.
Let me run it back. He said the Spanish streamers are the worst thing to happen to Twitch.
Thing that happened to Twitch is actually all the Spanish streamers coming in there because it's insanely expensive, and the ads down there do not cover the cost of supporting all that.
Yeah, it's all
like,
too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like, normally people, oh man, I can't wait to have 500,000 people from Brazil that I have to support with.
What? This man talking about Spanish streamers, and then he gives a fucking example of Brazil. This man straight up called Brazilians Spanish. I was wrong. I was fucking wrong. I like Hassan. I know Hassan would not call Brazilian Spanish. That's all. Really, all it took. Followed. Hearted. Wish I could heart it twice. Look at that. It fucking happened.
Like, oh, we're such a fucking big deal, and then like people are like, bro, who the fuck are you? This
Are you gonna talk about the Spanish Brazilian streamers?
one random Hispanic guy you've never heard of has more. Thing that happened to Twitch.
He talks about the Hispanic motherfuckers again. He literally had some type of hang up with the Spanish people who are most likely Brazilian. I couldn't believe it. He was given another example.
And then like people are like, bro, who the fuck are you? This
Are you gonna talk about the Spanish Brazilian streamers?
one random Hispanic guy you've never heard of has more. Thing that happened to Twitch is actually all the Spanish streamers coming in there because it's insanely expensive, and the ads down there do not cover the cost of supporting all that.
Yeah, it's all
like,
too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like, normally people, oh man, I can't wait to have 500,000 people from Brazil that I have to support with.
What? You guys see how I clocked that so fast? This probably would have went over the heads of anyone who was like half listening to that. The fact that he called it Brazilian Spanish, I could never be on the side of a man that does that. I could never be on the side of a man that does that shit.
So, and that would be
Love Hassan now. Hassan would never say that Brazilians are Spanish.
literally spitting in the faces of all the other developers working on Pixel who've been in there in the past.
Because like there's not a problem in being Spanish, by the way, but the fact of the matter is that I don't know, like throughout the history of my life, the most racist people I've ever encountered have boiled down Brazil as a Spanish thing because they don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's Latin America. Fuck it. You know what I mean? They all fucking speak Spanish type vibe. So I hate that fucking my culture is better than yours dismissal of everybody else's culture. Enough that you just like go and say, oh, those fucking Spanish people in Brazil. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, I hate that so much. I hate that so much. For real. For real, I hate that.
DW stated,
There's nothing wrong with being Spanish, but there is something wrong with like thinking that the whole of Latin America is all just a bunch of Spanish people.
and Coyle stated from time to time, certain developers would get a bonus in pay if they worked on certain heists or whatever.
I legitimately pay myself like 10 grand a month or some shit like that. And, you know, 10 grand's a lot, don't get me wrong, but compared to what NoPixel makes, it's nothing. For the last little while, I've been paying some of the devs like 3 to 4 times me, depending on what's happening. Well, not all the devs get paid that much. It depends on what's... So there's been situations, for instance, you know, at end of year, I'm paying some people some extra, or when there's bounties or some shit like that, I do because we want to pump something out quick. I'll pay them extra. You know what I mean?
I can see how, you know, maybe DW was getting paid a little bit more because he was working on something a little bit more critical to the NoPixel server. On the chance that the courts question if DW and Coyle really entered into some 50% agreement, it's undisputed that Coyle ever entered in any 50% agreement with Tove. But let Larry explain how messed up DW's visa situation is.
You know, we're talking past each other. We knew there was no K, and
This is the face of a man that is like in deep shit with American immigration. Oops. Oops, I fucked up. Oops. Oops. I may have gotten together. I may have gotten together with a group of people that commit immigration fraud.
the other side was like, they thought like they had some shot at getting half of NoPixel's revenue. And it was like, okay, well, it's not going to happen until we get to the...
It's illegal, innit?
This motion we're just never going to get until we got to the deposition. Then it became clear there really was no case, and it took a long time to get to the If we had done the depositions earlier, maybe we would have filed the motions earlier. Also, that discovering, like figuring out that like the immigration thing, they had completely just that whole thing was just a scam, because he's actually charging DW like. Tove is charging TW to be in this country. That's the scandal, and that's not kosher.
Crazy.
Slavery ended, but if you go...
I like he says that's not kosher. That is not kosher. That is not kosher at all.
Back to the original
Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit more than not kosher.
video when I first started covering this whole NoPixel lawsuit, Coyle did explain how DW was hurting for money because he had to pay Tove every month, and when he started working for NoPixel, it helped out tremendously.
He was pretty much gonna get. He had to move.
This is literally like he's being shaken down by the fucking immigration mob. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta make the fucking payments, man. They won't let me stay in the country if I don't make the fucking payments. They came in here and they broke my fucking legs, man. They broke my fucking legs, man. Can you send me 10K?
Move out of the United States of America unless you got a visa or some shit. And the company that he signed to, he had to give them an X amount from his Twitch, which essentially was soaking up quote unquote all his money, even though I was paying him 10 grand a month.
But I digress. Also, in Tove's visa application, there's no mention whatsoever of DW being locked out, because from my understanding, you can't get a visa through company A and then go work for company B. Doesn't necessarily work like that. I'm not gonna go into the argument section because Coyle won. However, what might bankrupt Tove is that they agreed to a summary judgment. I'll let Larry explain how that works. With that in mind, how was that last communication when they said, hey, we're going to wave the white flag. We agree. We could just drop the case.
I got an email that said, you know, well, first he wanted to dismiss.
Immigration laws are different, applicable in the US and in the UK and everywhere. Like, each country has their own laws. And if you get hired to work for one company and you're staying in the country to work for that company, then you can't work for another one. That's like, you know, it's pretty like basic shit. You got to redo the process if you ever start working for somebody else.
So, no, we're not agreeing to just dismissal. We want a judgment. We want the judge to rule that we win, and then now we'll ask the judge for all our attorney fees and costs, and hopefully we'll get those too.
Wait,
under the copyright. Yeah.
Y'all are going for?
Maybe they have a different visa that's not the HB1 visa. Maybe it's a different one.
For it?
Of course. When you file a motion
Are they living in the US? Yes.
for summary judgment, the other side doesn't even.
Oh, you mean the APPLESHAMPOO people? I have no idea.
file an opposition.
Well, if you don't have the specifics of what type of visa that they are actually working on, then you probably shouldn't chime in on that because you don't know, right? There are tons of different types of visas that you can apply to.
Position. The court should take it as an admission that there was no.
In the end, Tove.
They made it sound on their lawsuit that there was no other fucking place that this guy could be to do the job that he was doing, which was streaming, which is insane.
Lost big, and once that
they were taking his earnings from streaming, by the way, not software development.
Legal fees come through, I can't wait to see how much it is, because remember, this lawsuit went on for over a year. There was over 1,000 pages, numerous communications back and forth. And like I said, Larry had 2 other people working for him. DW comes off like this bitter ex-girlfriend, mad that Coyle broke up with them. You know, it's murky why they stopped working together, but in the end, he pulled the whole adept rip.
Each employer has to file their own petitions.
Tried to get him on a technicality using Tove. And look, man, these Tove
these fucking guys. These fucking guys, they're like GTA NPCs, dude.
Brothers, you know, the Khalil brothers have to be 2 of the shadiest people working in this goddamn content creation industry. I really wonder, will DW face any criticism or come out of hiding from his 2-year hiatus because he's been radio silent, according to Reddit? Will Penta actually make a statement?
Whoa, was Penta dragged into this? This came so out of left field. How come Penta fucking gets this is so crazy. 3 seconds before the video ends, it's like, will Penta say something about it? What the fuck?
Have to be 2 of the shadiest people working in this goddamn content creation industry. I really wonder, will DW face any criticism or come out of hiding from his 2-year hiatus because he's been radio silent, according to Reddit? Will Penta actually make a statement condemning DW's action now that pretty much all the facts have come to light? As far as Coyle, he said it himself, sometimes he can be an asshole, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And what DW and Tove did was
he's putting fucking heat on Penta. Hey, Penta's got to say something about this. You know what I think, though? That he would have to look through so much fucking evidence to be able to actually make any sort of statement. I don't think he has the fucking time, or he even cares. He's not even on that fucking server anymore. You know, who knows? Maybe there's a reason why he's not there anymore. You guys thought about that?
Morally wrong and legally damn near impossible. But is right and wrong is right if it's done again.
I don't think he needs to chime in on anything. He has like no. Why would he have to say something? It has nothing to do with him.
Against someone you don't like. If you have any entertainment questions, please reach out.
He's already said that he felt he was used to promote Onyx. There you have it, man. You know? There you have it. Ain't no way he's looking through anything. Probably not. What? I mean, he doesn't even play there anymore. Maybe there's a reason why he doesn't play there anymore. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough evidence to support that he just, you know, he's not about it. That's what I would think. You know? Yeah, this but DW. DW and Penta, but like this. Friendship ended. This is the type of statement that I would want from Penta about this. Over.